To you.
All right, word.
It's time!
Hey guys, welcome to the first edition of Strikes and Submissions podcast, MMA here at the Right Way Sports Network. I'm your host, Dorian Wright, with my co-host, Michael Daly here, and we're just gonna bring you a quick and precise show about MMA. We're the guys here, so make sure you follow TWSN on all social platforms, all social medias, everything you have. Subscribe, turn that bell on so you'll never miss another show. We have plenty of other great shows. Also, as you see below, download the TWSN mobile app, Apple, Android, Samsung, Microsoft, whatever. We have it for every platform. Make sure you go get that. And today, our first show, like I said, Mike, introduce yourself for the people.
My name is Michael Daly. Dorian, I am so happy to be here with you. I'm a writer for TWSN as well as I've given some analysis in the past as well on MMA and boxing. I know you have as well. And also, if you haven't downloaded the TWSN mobile app, what are you waiting for? Come on, do that now. But Dorian, I am so excited to be on with you and to start this new journey with you.
Yes, sir, my brother. It's going to be a great one. We have a huge following here at TWSN. We're just trying to build on, provide you guys some great content. So the way that we're going to do this, we're going to go round by round. As you guys know, title fights, 5 rounds. So let's start off round one. We want to lead the show with an interesting topic that I thought. How do you feel about Aljamain Sterling getting neck surgery now that he's the bantamweight champion?
I never want to dispute the necessity for getting surgery because I am not a medical expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm also not a professional athlete. And professional athletes, in this case, Aljamain Sterling, know their body better than anyone. So, again, I have no problem with him getting the surgery because he needs it.
Right.
What I will say though, there is a little bit of an issue from an optical standpoint, and that is he sustained this neck injury back in college. He's been out of college for over 10 years, Dorian. And look, I know he's a tough guy, willing to push the limits of his body, and it helped him out. He ended up winning the title. And there have been other champions in the past who have had surgery, and it took them a little bit while to get off the mend. But this is a unique situation because he was the first champion to win after the title changed hands through disqualification. So, look, again, I'm not telling anybody they can't get surgery. I'm not here to say that Aljamain Sterling doesn't need surgery. I'm not saying he's faking anything. What I am saying, though, it's a little bit of a mismanaged situation. And I don't know what has been going on with Aljamain Sterling, but it all started in the lead up to this fight when he didn't have Matt Serra in his corner. You tell me, Dorian,
Right.
that makes no sense to me. But then he ended up winning the title, albeit he was losing the fight and the knee happened. But now this holds up the bantamweight division in a way that I don't think the UFC wants to see. I don't think Aljamain Sterling should be stripped, but it holds the division up, and I don't think that's a good thing.
Wow, it's an interesting take that you brought up, Matt Serra, because I was listening to one of the UFC embeddeds, and Aljamain Sterling said that um, he felt as if his jujitsu was the strongest part of his game, so he didn't need Matt Serra with him in the corner. So I thought that was interesting that he even said that to begin with. Um, I don't think he should be stripped at all, given that Peter Yan won the championship over Jose Aldo last year, and he didn't fight Sterling until what, a month ago? And they had the fight scheduled for December, and Jan pulled out with undisclosed reasons. Aljamain Sterling said he pulled out because he wasn't ready. He said he had nobody to fight him, or nobody to train with that could imitate Sterling's style. So he didn't want to fight him because he wasn't properly trained. And Sterling didn't say a word about it until after the fight. And then I think that even like during the fight, people give Aljamain Sterling way too much flack. way too much flack. Come on now. Okay, you can say he was losing. That's a fair point. No one's going to dispute that. He won't dispute that. But when you're kneeling in front of someone and you get caught with a blindside knee and people are like, "Oh, he's faking. He's faking." I haven't heard anybody say Peter Yan's a cheater. That was dirty. This isn't one championship. This isn't pride. You can't do that. So him doing that was just it was a bad look. And me personally, I don't think he should have been granted an immediate rematch. But I get it. He was the champ and he was winning, so you got to give him another shot. Um, and I saw Chipper's comment. I don't think he should be stripped because he said that if all goes well, he gets his surgery, he'll be back within the next 4 to 5 months, which isn't a long turnaround for someone who just won the championship. You got to think this is the biggest moment of his life. Let him enjoy the championship with his family. And granted, even though this isn't the way he wanted to win it, so he might not be enjoying it if he knocked Jan out in the first 10 seconds or choked him out in the first 40 seconds like he did Sanhagen, he'd be parading around. But I love the fact that he's trolling everybody on social media and hey, I'm the champ, and he's taking pictures with the belt. I love it because he's not in the wrong. People can say you took 5 minutes to get up from a knee. Mark Smith was telling him, "Hey, stay down. I'm calling the doctor in here. Stay down." And now that's another topic for another day. I don't know why you're asking clearly a concussed fighter if he still wants to continue or not. But regardless, I don't know. I just think that it was interesting. I've seen people, calling for him to be stripped and he should be, he's a disgrace to MMA. He wins the belt this way and now he wants to get surgery. It's like the reason he waited so long to get surgery, like you said, it's been since you said college he had that
Yeah.
neck injury. You got to think when you're pursuing your dreams, a surgery like this can derail everything, man. So now that you've got to the pinnacle and you're at the top and you're the champ and now everyone's calling your name, yeah, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to get surgery. I'm going to clean up everything that I should have because I'm granted the opportunity now. And I think that's more important that he's using the platform he has as the champ to be like, hey, this guy's a cheater. I'm going to take my time. He's not going to get an immediate rematch this summer for what? He doesn't deserve it. So, yeah, very, very dirty, Nader. I agree. Um, but yeah, do you have anything else you want to touch on that before we move on to round two?
The one part that scares me is that it's all well and good to say, oh, he'll recover in 3 months, which is what they said. He'll be out for 3 months.
The best case
But
scenario.
in terms of the rehab process, there's no guarantee that he's going to be back in 9 months, which is what a lot of people with neck injuries, that's usually how long it takes when they get neck surgery.
Mhm.
So, and a lot of people were saying he's going to be out 9 months. He disputed it. But that's if all goes well, he'll be back. Personally, I'm thinking October, November, and then hopefully by then the dust will be settled.
Right. And hopefully, this is just me speaking. I know it'll never happen. Make Jan fight the winner of TJ and Sanhagen if Jan's getting impatient.
Mm.
Who says no to that? Maybe Sanhagen, but all right. So moving on, round two, we're gonna get into something a little more recent. With the middleweight division, you got champion Israel Adesanya still not really wanting to rematch Robert Whitaker. Obviously, he just dusted off Paulo Costa in a flawless performance. So I want to ask you, Mike, who do you think the next contender is at middleweight?
Dorian, this is a conversation of should and will. What do I mean by that? I mean, what should happen if Robert Whitaker is able to get past Kelvin Gastelum on Saturday, he should be the next in line to fight because he beat Darren Till back in Abu Dhabi in July. He beat Jared Cannonier also in Abu Dhabi on Habib Nurmagomedov's card. So you hear that and you think, okay, he's next in line. But that should. What will happen, I think Marvin Vittori will be the next guy. And the reason why is because Robert Whitaker, he had all of the cards on deck. He was essentially playing with house money after he beat Jared Cannonier. Because Dorian, if you remember, Israel Adesanya said before their fight in October, Jared Cannonier and Robert Whitaker, he said if Jared Cannonier wins, he's got the
He's
next
next in
title
line.
shot. He's next in line. I'm going to take him on. Guess what? Robert Whitaker won. Robert Whitaker had a potential drop the mic moment with John Anik, cage side, in that post-fight interview. And you know what he did? He dropped the ball. Didn't drop the mic, dropped the ball, and made it seem, all right, if I get the title, great. If not, so be it. I still get to fight. If you want a title shot, that is not what you say publicly. Behind closed doors to your boys, say that all you want. Because I'm sure he just loves to fight and it doesn't really matter who he fights. But when Dana White is listening and Israel Adesanya is listening and Israel Adesanya holds all the cards in that division, gets to call the shots.
And not for nothing, the whole world's listening after you
Yeah.
win and you're getting that interview. You call, Julian Marquez asked to date Miley Cyrus, and it seemed like it worked.
He called
You got to just shoot your shot.
Yeah, exactly. So to that point, Dorian, he had a moment in time to say that, and even in November, he did a few interviews. He had a chance to redeem himself, and he didn't. So then at that point, Israel Adesanya is like, I don't need this guy. I already knocked him out back on October 6, 2019. What do I need him for? Let me go fight someone else. Now, what will happen, Marvin Vettori is going to get it because they fought a very close fight April 14th, 2018 in Arizona. That was a close fight. It was a split decision victory for Israel Adesanya. And Marvin Vettori, the whole time, has been talking up a storm. I won that fight. And I need another shot to prove that I'm going to be the middleweight champion. So it's only destiny at this point that will happen, all because Robert Whitaker just messed it up. He messed up the bag.
And I agree 100% with you. Another thing I'd like to touch on is it seems as if Israel Adesanya is kind of brushing off Robert Whitaker. I don't know if you get that feeling too, because he beat him, and in the post-fight press conference, I don't know if you remember, he said, I knocked him out twice. At the end of the round, I knocked him out. He got saved by the bell. He came back, and I knocked him out again. He was like, I'm 2-0 against this guy. So I think Adesanya has that mindset. I've beaten Whitaker twice, which obviously isn't true, but it's funny to think. And then he goes, okay, if Cannonier, if you beat Whitaker, you're next in line. Whitaker beats him. And then he looks, I want to fight Darren Till. Darren Till, me and him match up very well. Darren Till, you get through Marvin Vettori, and you're next in line. Obviously, Till pulls out with a broken collarbone. Marvin Vettori dominates Kevin Holland, and we'll get into that next. But he dominates Kevin Holland, and Israel Adesanya is still saying, Vettori, you haven't beaten anybody. But he was going to give Till the nod. And like you said, Till lost to Robert Whitaker. So it's funny. I don't want to say Izzy's running from anybody because Izzy's one of my favorite fighters. And I know he has the utmost confidence that he'll knock Robert Whitaker out twice again. But it seems as if he's avoiding him. And I think the Paulo Costa fight for Whitaker was really what would have solidified him undeniably. If he beat Costa, I'm next in line. I don't even want to hear about Vettori. I don't want to hear about Till. No Cannonier. I just beat the guy you just beat plus two other guys. Give me my title back. And it's not like Whitaker's not a former champ. He's the former champ. So you build a little cachet. You should be able to get that spot back. And he's earned it. He's only lost to Izzy in recent memories. So I think that's interesting. And as far as the Vettori Holland, this goes into round 3. The Vettori Holland fight, I'll start off here. First off, I wrote an article about the importance of Kevin Holland stepping up short notice to take that fight. Guys, go check that out on the TWSN app. Titles The Importance of Big Mouth. And the reason I say that's super important is because everyone saw him get dominated by Jalen Brunson. Okay, we know his wrestling isn't the greatest. And we saw it previously. I was watching him against Thiago Santos a few years back. Same thing. Take him down, hold him down, beat him up. You can do that to Kevin Holland. Anybody can. But the thing is, Darren Till pulls out. And Vettori's the main event on ABC, the second time that the UFC's on ABC. This is a huge platform. Vettori almost didn't have a fight. So if it wasn't for Kevin Holland stepping up and taking that fight, Vittori can't call for a title shot. And then in the pre-fight press conference, he said, "Hey, I should be next in line just because all these other dudes are dropping like flies." He's like, all these dudes are either pulling out or getting beat up. And he's like, "Whitaker, you had your shot. I beat Izzy the first time. You lost to Izzy. Let me get to Izzy first." And I like that from Marvin Vittori. And I thought Ken Holland was gonna beat him up, but Vittori looked focused and he looked hungry. And that Marvin Vittori is not the same Marvin Vittori that fought Izzy a few years ago. And I can see why Izzy doesn't want to give him the fight. That's all I'm gonna say. I can see why. I can see why. I'm not gonna say he's ducking again, but if Izzy wants to defend that title against somebody worthy, I think you only have two options: Whitaker or Vittori. Because even if Gastelum upsets Whitaker, I can see him trying to push. Me and Gastelum had a fight of the year. What was that, 2019, right?
Yeah.
They had fight of the year, so we can see a rematch between them going if he beats Whitaker. But again, he's stepping in short notice. He wasn't training for anybody. Do we really think Kevin Gastelum at this point in his career can beat Robert Whitaker? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, before I say that, though, it was just announced that Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena are going to fight in August. And I know we're going to, I still want to talk about everything that happened with Holland and how that shook out. But this is big news. Amanda Lioness Nunes back in the octagon against somebody.
Bantamweight.
Bantamweight. Someone's been calling her out profusely. It's going to happen. So I just wanted to bring that up because it's breaking news and it's something that is important.
Yes, sir. Bantamweight straps on the line. Nunes gonna have to cut that extra 10 pounds. I mean, she's the GOAT. She's gonna dominate. But Pena's been calling her out for a couple months now, just yelling, screaming, Ariel, you want it. Uh, anybody who's given her the platform, she's just said it. Hey, I'm gonna stomp Amanda, and that's not something anyone has ever said. Even people who have beaten Amanda, you got to give credit where it's due. Give respect. Julia Pena has been very disrespectful. I think Amanda Nunes has a little fire built up, and that is not the person you want to fire up,
Not at all.
especially when she's defending her bantamweight strap.
No, not at all. You do. Amanda Nunes, who's arguably the greatest female combat sports athlete in history, you want to bark up that tree, good luck. That's all I'll say about it. Because I know we were talking about Kevin Holland and pretty much everything with the middleweight division. But Dorian, if you'll allow me, choo. I am still the conductor of the Kevin Holland hype train. And you know why, Dorian? The reason why, you can jump off all you want. You can leave Kevin Holland. You can say, oh, he's done. He's overrated. You know what? On the Kevin Holland hype train, it may be a little bleak, but I am still riding in the very front. And the reason why, even though with the Derek Brunson fight, it was rough, I did see a little bit of progress against Marvin Vittori. Albeit he did lose. He was dominated on the ground. But
Right.
one thing I noticed for Kevin Holland against Vittori, he did not accept his position on the ground. And that's so important. Wrestling 101, when you get taken down, you cannot
Get up.
have you cannot have your back flattened out. Against Derek Brunson, literally Derek Brunson would mount him, get into side control, just pound the daylight out of him, and then Holland would, hit him with a little pity pat slaps, but that was it. At least with Marvin Vittori, Marvin knew, I got to keep this guy down, because if not, I may get KO'd. So there is one thing that is a bright spot, and even with Derek Brunson, he had Derek Brunson hurt. He dropped Derek Brunson. So for the Trailblazer, Kevin Holland, I still think the future is bright for him. At this point in time, it's a little bleak. It's not looking great. But if I'm Kevin Holland, okay, from May to December 2020, you fought 5 times. And I know a lot of people say, oh, in a year, he fought 5 times. No.
From
7
May.
months, he fought 5 times. Got paid a lot. Now it's time to rest, relax. You did enough this year so far. Spend time with your family. And after a few weeks, maybe even a month or two, book a one-way flight to San Jose, California, hang out with Daniel Cormier. If
He's been
Habib
asking for him.
and all those boys show up, get some wrestling advice from them. Because, look, Dorian, the reason why I'm still on this hype train and still chugging along, I believe that if he can get his wrestling in order, and there is no better person to learn wrestling defense from than Daniel DC Cormier, an Olympic wrestler in his own right. You have to do that because let me tell you this, Dorian. If he doesn't get his wrestling in order, he may be out of the UFC in due time. And that is so unfortunate to say. But it also, here's one thing, too. I'm curious to see if Dana White and the UFC brass, Sean Shelby, all those guys, what kind of business they're in when it comes to Kevin Holland. If they want to do him some favors, I think they put him in there with a striker, like a Uriah Hall. But if they really want to test him, I think if you put him in there with someone like Chris Weidman, it may be it. Game, set, match.
I'm glad you mentioned that because in the back of my mind, when I saw him, like you said, he was fighting against Vettori. He didn't just lay down like he did against Brunson. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, hey, if he made these gains in, what was it, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Think, like you said, if he just goes to AKA in San Jose with Khabib, who's still training every day despite being retired, with Daniel Cormier, who's one of the greatest wrestlers, if not the greatest wrestler who's ever touched foot in an octagon. If he goes there for 2 months, say 3 months maybe, and he comes back and let's give him a little more time off because, like you said, he's fought 7 times since May of last year. Over 7 times in 12 months. That in 11 months. That's insanity. That turnaround, we haven't seen it yet. So let's give him some time off. But you know who I'd love to see him matched up against? And the rankings won't approve of this, but I would because I think it's important that, like you said, Dana White, give him a favor. He takes every fight you give him. He saved your main event on ABC. When Darren Till's healthy, give him Darren Till. Let's see a striker versus a striker. Let's see Darren Till sell a fight versus Big Mouth selling a fight. Because I love me some Darren Till. I don't know about you, but that English accent, it does it.
Oh.
And just the brash, I love everything about Darren Till. In a loss, in a win, he's cocky. He's not humble. He's gonna tell you, I'm punching a hole through your face, and he's going out there and he's punching holes through people's faces. So if you match him up with a guy like Holland, who's not looking to wrestle, but given the time, like you said, at AKA, gets a little bit of wrestling defense, maybe get some wrestling offense. Hey, now we don't know if it's striker against striker. We don't know if Holland's going to try to come out and wrestle and show everything he's been taught, or if he goes back to, hey, I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt. If Darren Till wants to take me down, let him. And just they stand striking. Can we get a kickboxing match for 15 minutes?
Striking. They are striking.
Can we get a main event and get them to go for 25 minutes? Because I think they could easily headline a fight night. Easily. You had Holland and Brunson headline a fight night. You had, Holland and Vettori headline a fight night. I think Till, I'm not a matchmaker. Call Sean Shelby, but I think that'll be a great, great matchup.
You know what, Dorian? Sorry to cut you off. You go. You keep going.
No, I was just getting hype over here, man. I don't know about you, but certainly, man, Darren Till and Kevin Holland, I can see that right now for maybe like a New Year's card or a Christmas card, maybe. That would be I wouldn't ask Santa for anything else for Christmas if he gave me that.
You know what? And because last year, I think it was December 19th, if I'm not mistaken, Wonder Boy fought on that card. So maybe a card like that. But I will say this, though. The jury is still not out on Kevin Holland. But also, I'm not out on Kevin Holland. I still think there is a world where Kevin Holland can fight for the title. It's going to be a ways away. But if he fights someone like Darren Till, and then you pair him up with someone like, I don't know, maybe Paulo Costa, you're telling me he's not knocking on the door? Knock, knock, Israel Adesanya. Here I am, buddy. Let's go to war. You're telling me that's not going to happen? So I know a lot of people love to kick someone while they're down, especially someone as boisterous and gregarious as Kevin Trailblazer Holland is. But look, all he needs to do, like I said, book a one-way flight, San Jose, California, just tweak a few little things, keep working with Travis Luter, a world-class jiu-jitsu specialist, jiu-jitsu player. Kevin Holland, I know he doesn't love throwing a lot of submissions off his back. He's not Tony Ferguson, who will just throw an omoplata out of nowhere. But Kevin Holland is a lot better on the ground than he gives himself credit for. Because in
And that
fight,
he's shown.
exactly, he doesn't do enough work on the ground. Because if you can be a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, especially at such a high level that he is, he can easily work on his wrestling. But the clock is ticking, Kevin Holland. You need to get your wrestling in order. But also, though, Dorian, he needs to take time off. I want to see him in a full camp. He needs a full camp.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Get him a full camp. He hasn't had one in a while. Even for the Brunson fight, I'm not. Yeah, you should hire me to plan some fights. I'd have the welterweight division lined up like that. But that's another topic.
Or in Shelby.
Yeah, so let's go into round 4. We talked briefly about it. How do you think the Robert Whitaker versus Kevin Gastelum fight's gonna go? Kelvin, excuse me.
I love this fight. And the reason why, these two were supposed to fight at UFC 234 in Melbourne, Australia. That was actually the card that Israel Adesanya and Anderson Silva went at it
Co-mained.
on the main event.
Mhm.
But Robert Whitaker, he was injured, had to pull out the day before the fight. It was very unfortunate. But the thing is, I really just want to make sure that Robert Whitaker is able to prove why he deserves to have a title shot. He can definitely do that. And I think Kelvin Gastelum, he needs a big win. He beat Ian Heinisch. He's going to try to wrestle with Robert Whitaker, but I think this is going to be an absolute war, a bloodbath. I think there will be blood all over the canvas. And honestly, Dorian, before I give it back to you, I think Robert Whitaker is going to get it done because he can wrestle, he can strike with the best of them. And look, he's on a warpath to prove that he should be back in there with Israel Adesanya. Even though he won't say it, he is.
Of course. And this one's a tough one for me because, like you said, it was something that we had booked, and the day of the fight, Whitaker gets rushed to the hospital, so we never knew how it would have planned out. But I just think at this point, Gastelum's still world class, of course. But after taking a couple losses, and then you look at a guy like Robert Whitaker who's fighting for something. He wants to get back at Izzy. He wants that belt. When you get a guy who's determined like this, and he had Paulo Costa, he was ready to fight Paulo Costa. And now we all know what Izzy did to him, but look at what Costa did to literally everybody else. Paulo's not someone you're just taking a fight to take. No, Whitaker had a plan. I'm going to beat the best guys. I'm going to get my belt back. Kelvin Gastelum, I don't know if he's standing in the way of that. I think this is going to be a quick knockout by Robert Whitaker. I like to call him Bobby Knuckles. Apparently, he doesn't like that nickname, but Bobby Knuckles is going to lay Gastelum out. I'll give it second round.
Well, that's all I got on it because I know we're disagreeing with that. You think it's a knockout. I think it's just going to be a bloodbath because Kelvin Gastelum is game. He still thinks that if he wins, he'll get a shot, which he's not leapfrogging his teammate, Marvin Vettori. That's not happening. But I do think that it will be a war.
All right. And round 5, guys, it's the championship rounds. The last topic we have here is none other, not MMA, but somewhat MMA. What do you think about Jake Paul versus Ben Askren this weekend? And who you got?
Ooh, it's getting spicy. You know what, Dorian? I want to say this. I know it's not popular to say anything positive about Jake Paul. People love criticizing him, but the kid can fight. The guy can fight. Now, I'm not saying he's a world-class boxer, but I think he's in good hands with BJ Flores, who in his own right was a WBC and WBA cruiserweight title contender against Beibut Shumanov, as well as Tony Bellew. So he knows what he's doing. He's in a good camp. I will say, though, in the start of the fight, Jake's going to pepper Ben Askren with a lot of jabs. But it doesn't matter how hard Jake can hit Ben Askren. Ben's chin is rock solid. He's been in there with guys like Lyman Good, Douglas Lima, Shinya Aoki. The list goes on and on.
Robbie Lawler.
Exactly. And I wasn't even talking about the UFC. And there you go. So Ben Askren has the heart of a champion, a true fighter. I think this is going to be a decision, and Jake Paul will eke out a decision victory because I just see he's going to be a little bit more active. Ben's going to walk him down, but I do think the 3 years that Jake has been boxing, I think will slightly help him, but it's going to be a split decision.
Wow.
That's how
you
I
might be the only person I've heard say not only that this is going to go to decision, but Jake Paul is going to win by decision. I've been going back and forth with this, man, because it's so hard to judge because we all know Askren is famous for saying, "I don't work on my boxing. These dudes in MMA can't wrestle. I'm just gonna take them down and beat them up." He did it for years and years and years. It's to say that Jake Paul's boxing is better than Askren's. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
because
know.
Jake Paul's probably been boxing more frequently than Ben, but even then, I'm not taking a YouTuber over an MMA fighter in any type of combat. So I think Ben Askren, and he's a big guy, man. Jake Paul's big and he's a stud, he's built very well, but Ben Askren's like big, like he doesn't have the muscle. He has the dad bod, so people
He's
might be like,
beefy.
ah, ha, ha, ha. But he's a big and he's strong,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be dirty boxing. The ref's gonna be earning his or her paycheck that night. Trust me, that ref will be breaking them up every 5 seconds. Askren's just gonna weigh on them, hit them, body shot. I think body shots are gonna be the real key to this. I don't know if Jake Paul's been taking body shots. We know Ben Askren can take a kick to the ribs. He can take a knee to the ribs. Can't take a knee to the face. But those body shots, I don't know, man. I think Ben's going to get them, just like Stipe got DC in the second one. So I think I have Ben Askren by KO. I don't know which round, but probably in the later rounds, maybe 4 or 5. And it's going to be a body shot because he's not going to hit Jake Paul in his face. Let's be honest. Jake Paul's head movement's probably way better, but Ben Askren's not losing, man. There's no way I'm picking against an Olympic alternate, NCAA collegiate wrestler. Granted, I know wrestling's not boxing, but man, I got Ben. Funky, when you win, come on the show. I showed you love. We're going to get on mic.
Hey, I did too. I didn't completely discredit him because some people are saying the guy can't box at all. That's not what I'm saying. I also think judging will have a role in it too because Ben's going to walk him down, but I just think Jake will be a little bit more active. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. And if Jake Paul wins the fight on activity, that's not a win for Jake Paul.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But with that being said, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the first one of Strikes and Submissions. Leave some comments down below. Appreciate everybody who live streamed. Still gonna watch it after the stream goes off. Make sure again you download the TWSN mobile app again on all platforms. Follow us all on social media, TWSN. And Mike, you have any closing words before we get out of here? Because I have one thing to say.
I just want to say, I don't know if I'm jumping on you, Dorian, but I want to say make sure you stick around for the TWSN mock draft special. Great stuff. It's an annual thing happening tonight right after us, so make sure you stick around for that. And I'm so happy. Next week, we get to be on at 8 p.m. We'll be joined by our CEO, Malik Wright. So it's a great time to be on with you.
Great time, guys. And one thing I want to say, this is Strikes and Submissions, hashtag no decisions. We're signing out.